What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And listen, Portland has had its share of ups and downs this past week. We had people there live on Wednesday. I got a report with pics coming out and vid coming out. But it's almost like living in an alternative universe while simultaneously going through a daily range of emotions that make you question if you need to look out the window to double check, is the sky still up? It's crazy. But we have good news. The sky is up. It's still there, and it's blue. And there are no fires, and there's no insurrection, despite what the orange orangutan tangerine tornado in office and the Mussolini of Mar-a-Lago is telling you, and all of his sycophants. There have been constant meetings with authoritative figures, government heads, city council members, and panel of 3 judges, mind you, who are carefully weighing the decision to allow or not to allow Oregon National Guard to deploy into the city. There has been daily news ranging from level-headed, honest reporting like us to clearly regime-influenced nonsense feeding into the propaganda that there are fires in a city where it's been raining for 3 days and 3 nights. The administration continues to push a false narrative that Antifa, whatever that is to them, is a legitimate organization and is a domestic terrorist organization. Hosting a roundtable discussion last week with MAGA influencers and self-confirmed reporters claiming to have been attacked by masked people as long ago as 2016 in Portland. Masked people attacking anybody is called ICE at detention centers. Those are the ones in masks attacking people. But I digress.
And it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This is 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street to another, to another, to another. And 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest and riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face. And I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding the brain, and nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right. And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so.
Let's talk about that ICE facility. The ICE facility has drawn a very large range of attention lately, right? I mean, at the beginning of the week, people seemed to be mostly in fear about visiting the facility due to the physical attacks, brutality, and unrelenting gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets, right, that have been used in recent weeks and months. But by the end of last week, it became a place that truly shows what they're about. And it's not the kind of fight that fascists know how to beat. It's like kids in tutus playing ukuleles. There are lots of bubbles being blown and a display of sidewalk chalk. People are dressed in all kinds of costumes. Whatever you can dream up, you'll find it at the Portland ICE facility. It's called creativity. Fascism dies in creative spaces. Fascists can't dance. There's a whole video about that. According to our own reporter on the ground, Mel, quote unquote, we have our own flavor of handling situations like the one we find ourselves in. I'd say so. Here's a new development for the week, and it's just how many people have found new ways to calm the fear of the boogeyman presence the ICE facility has had in recent weeks and months by having far more people of age, not just young adults, regularly showing up in both small and large numbers. There's a group of people wearing frog costumes. You may have seen it. But don't let the costume fool you, YouTube. Like I told you, it's the type of fighting that fascists can't beat. That same guy in a silly frog costume, he seems to have this superpower. And just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, this is what ICE decided to do to him because they're scared of a human bubble. Now, spraying that into his only air hole, the only way he gets oxygen, could have done something that they were not prepared to reap the consequences for. Luckily, he gave this response.
He was pepper sprayed right here in this vent, which is what gives you air inside there.
Yeah.
For viewers who haven't seen that Twitter video, can you tell us what happened in that video and, what you were feeling inside the suit?
Well, what happened was DHS came out and they were being really aggressive with us and ended up shoving a comrade, detaining that comrade. And in that process, a lot of us got shoved back. I noticed fell, and I went to go grab them and pick them up so they didn't also get detained or further hurt. And in that process, I got maced in the air vent, and essentially I just kind of coughed a little, noticed a small hint of peppermint, and just continued to be in my frog costume after that for about another hour.
That's how you fight back. You see, they know nothing but brute force. They're stupid and ignorant. They don't read, and they don't have an imagination. All they have is a tear gas canister and a gun that replaces the size of their teeny weeny dick. And that's all they have. And that's why they have no answers when people show up in frog costumes and push them back without a weapon. They're weak. Despite all my hoorah, this is fighting back. You want to know the story from Portland? Well, there's another group of adults who have committed to attending every Sunday morning of what they call pajamas and pastries. They wear outfits as well, but many show up in bathrobes, slippers, and flannel jammies as they pass out delicious goodies and eat their pastries together, sitting on the folding chairs, drinking coffee, and having a great time. Because fascists also need fear. When you show them that you're not afraid, they have no tools to deal with their emotions. They have no tools to deal with their emotions, their childish emotions. They only lash out. They have more pepper spray and more rubber bullets. And each time they use that, the crowd, the fearlessness grows because they realize it's not as scary as it looked on TV. A local ICE reporting agency posted Friday that they had received several phone calls on Thursday, the 9th, from frightened citizens caught in what seemed to be an ICE raid. They described seeing several vehicles arriving, multiple people wearing ICE-labeled gear exiting those vehicles, blocking traffic, and eventually announcing, "This is a test." What? Before getting back into their vehicles and leaving. This is the kind of unnecessary activity that the local ICE facility is busy doing with your tax dollars. And when they voted a few months ago to give them more money rather than the hospitals or your health care indeed in any way, that's what they paid for. This is a test. This is what they're up to. This is what they're doing. Trying to cast fear into everybody, everyday people just going about their lives in Portland. Where's the fire? You wanted a report from Portland. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek met with Kristi Noem this week. She expressed her opinions and tried to share the truth happening there, which again is nothing. Nothing's happening there but people jumping out of black cars talking about this is a test, and pepper spraying people in frog suits in their air holes. Again, stating the total number of required federal agents and National Guard numbers remains 0. None are necessary. She also explained and pleaded that at the very least ICE can do for us is end the extremely high amounts of gassing people relentlessly for just standing there. She said it isn't Oregon's or Portland's policy to unload gas on innocent people for peaceful protesting. And we expect that they follow our laws and regulations there. Because, by the way, did you know there's a school next door to that ICE facility? There's residential buildings right across the street. People are being harmed even when they're not peacefully protesting, like when they're playing on the playground. They're getting gas exposure just by living there. We can report here that while Noem was there, she also spent time at the ICE facility to host a pizza party in the war zone. Yes. While she claims their lives are under threat that requires the assistance from the National Guard to assist, ICE, one of the largest military organizations in the world right now, they opened up the gates and invited family, children. I guess it was hidden behind the smoke bellowing from the streets on fire. Or was that just pepper balls in the faces of priests? I don't know. You see, YouTube, the pizza party and their family and friends and their children and the makeup crew are for the agents she's reportedly hired bodyguards for due to reported hits being organized on ICE agents. Oh, and by the way, yeah, the pictures of these pizza party here got taken down off Instagram because it didn't fit the state required narrative. Are we here yet? Are we in authoritarianism yet? Or are we still waiting for the shoe to drop? Just wondering. I'm reporting from Portland. The air traffic situation has changed dramatically from the first 2 days of reporting that we showed you. You can go right here and click on it and see what the heck was so crazy over there. Now, since the beginning of the weekly reporting, there have been even more planes and helicopter traffic. It increased from 1 every 45 to 60 seconds up to 4 and 5 at any given moment for several hours every single night. For a few more days, they continued to force commercial flights heading into the Portland International Airport to fly an additional 30 miles past the airport, flip a bitch, do a U-turn, and then head back in order to properly land to allow the regime to make a complete spectacle of themselves while flying in what seemed to be aimless directions all over the night sky for days. At one point, our reporter on the ground, Mel, witnessed 4 planes close to one another. 2 of them appeared to nearly collide. After several days of watching these highly irregular and unprecedented demands interrupt the schedules and itineraries of passengers and scheduled commercial flights, there was a sudden, dramatic change. They began flying to and from what we believe is the Hillsborough Airport, which is 30 miles west of Portland Airport. It would seem the airlines got their way after several days of delays that undoubtedly affected many connecting flights and upset the flow of scheduled flights across the country. And that's important. You want to know why that's important, YouTube? Airports make a lot of money. There's a lot of people who make money that fly them. If you want to know how to win and redirect the flow of ICE agents and their bullshittery, it's with the money. The airports finally won. Because of the money, because of the influence, because of the people flying in them, finally forced the hand of the state that needs it. That's how this works. That's why boycotts work. That's why strikes work. I'm just saying. We're watching it happen in real time. And if we know how to use these tools, we can stave off the worst of what's coming. It's not going to end tomorrow, no. But these things work. Our special reporter, OR Peace Dude, has been at Hillsborough Airport during this low traffic period. And there was no sign of military at the Hillsborough Airport. We don't know where they've been moving in and out of the past few days, but we know they're still here. Still here, interrupting the lives of everyday people trying to live and work and sleep, canceling events, scaring people, and traumatizing the wildlife. Another quote from Mel on the ground. While we're all deeply affected by all these things, we're trying to keep it together with happy faces. We're putting on our costumes and party hats. We're bringing the bubbles and the kazoos. We're keeping our spirits up, serving pastries and pajamas while we wait for the 3-judge panel to decide our fate. Will the Trump regime be allowed to deploy the Oregon National Guard or not? We know one man who promises that if this is the case, the Oregon National Guard will protect the protesters from ICE. Yeah, Brigadier General Alan A. Gronwolf, in front of the Oregon State Subcommittee, stated over a week ago, quote,
to answer your question, I don't want to speculate on what level of training they will be trained in or what they will be authorized to perform as far as rules for the use of force. The Title 10 headquarters will provide that training to them. It is my understanding, however, that protective crowd control will be one of the things they're trained upon, and I will provide my advice to the Title 10 commander that Oregon National Guard men and women they serve two purposes: one, to defend America, and two, to protect Oregonians. And so by serving this mission, they will be protecting any protesters at the ICE facility. That's my desire. Now, to answer your question, full force is not a doctrinal term that the Army uses. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, and I don't want to speculate as to what level of force.
By serving this mission, they will be protecting any protesters at the ICE facility, unquote. And that's how you do it. And it's good to hear. It feels good to know that there are generals out there that understand their oath isn't to the orange maniac in the office, but to the Constitution and to their state. So that gives me and that gives Portlanders some hope that if the third judge panel sides with the administration, they'll at least have the backing of their own. And I'd say for them as well as ourselves, that's because tomorrow we fight. Frog suit or not. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.